what are your thoughts on this? Having a dream that is inside of your soul for years that you never fully commit to. You dabble, again, like we've done so much in so many things, we dabble, but you never fully commit to. What does that do to us if we continue on for the rest of our life, never fully going all in on our dreams?
I think it obviously reinforces the idea of incompetence, or it reinforces the idea that you are incapable of following through. And I feel like we have an obligation to follow that, or as you say, put it aside entirely. And what's look, we all know in the grim economies of our lives, if we were to put aside staring at some goddamn senseless social media platform and give that time to learning Spanish, we'd speak Spanish by now.
Or in 4 languages.
yeah. So you have to be willing. And that's why someone like, Tony Robbins is so sort of, you think, because that man, he just makes those choices. Mm-hmm. Like, have you ever heard him tell the story about how he learned polo? He's just like, I want to learn polo. Well, hell, like every time whenever I'm walking my dog, I feel like, and I'm friends with Tony, and I've told him this. I say, like, whenever I'm walking my dog or anything, like, I feel like, this is not, Tony wouldn't be doing this. Tony be learning something now. Well, you could be learning Spanish while you walk the dog. He's powerful, but he's a one-off, let's face it.
Yeah, I just actually interviewed him again yesterday, and it reminded me that he learned, I think, to become a black belt, like while he was on tour for 2 or 3 years, and he was like, I did it the fastest time anyone's been a black belt. I had the master come on stage, and behind the scenes, in between sessions, I would spend 45 minutes, then go back on stage. I was like, you're an animal. The commitment is unbelievable.
What was that? Like, what martial art is that?
I think he learned karate. I think it was this was probably decades ago, when he was I'm going to learn this, but I'm on tour, and he brought the guy with him to just teach him all day in between on stage. So
one of the things I most admire about him is that he's the way that he will identify an objective and then not be restricted by sort of our conditioned either emotional or cultural responses. Admittedly, we're talking about someone with some incredible resources. Yes, we are now, but the reason he's got those resources is because of this ability that he will just go, okay, I'm going to learn that thing. Never put aside all of there's not time, there's not this, there's not that.
He eliminates excuses. He just says there is no room, and he goes all in on his desires. It's pretty powerful.
Tony, you exhausting genius.
One of the things I think that holds a lot of people back, myself included, is when we doubt ourselves, when we don't believe in our own abilities or what we're capable of creating in the future. What do you think are some ways that we can overcome self-doubt in ourselves to gain that real confidence, not fake confidence, but overcome the doubts that hold us back from, asking that person out or going after that career opportunity, or just saying, I'm going to go after what I want in my life? What are some ways to eliminate that self-doubt and gain confidence?
Well, self-doubt can be critical, Lewis, because it can be a component of awareness. I feel that the answer must always be the embarkation on a spiritual life, because it's difficult, isn't it, in this world of personal development that we find ourselves in, for us not to take on the tropes and objectives of a culture that I think at this point we need to be querying and looking to move away from. We've all been deeply inculcated to believe that the pursuit of happiness is contingent upon the attainment of our petty, trivial desires. But real happiness is contingent on being free from those petty, trivial desires. As long as I'm a prisoner to that, see if someone's like that doesn't know, can't pluck up the confidence to ask someone out, or can't pluck up the confidence to pursue their dream or whatever. For me, I don't feel like it's my job to operate at that intersection, at the intersection of, well, come on, believe in yourself. You're as good as anyone else. You never know unless you try. I don't think that's my job. My job is why do you think you want this? What do you think it's going to do for you? What do you want really? What do you really want? What do you really want? What is it you are looking for? A friend of mine observed once that in the 1980s, the prominent sort of entrepreneurs were all about zipping about on speedboats and whooshing through the skies in hot air balloons, intrepid, bold adventurers. The very same tycoons now are all about greenness and ecology and safety and helping, responding to the trends that define a time, this time now of apparent fragility. I think our job is to look for some truth beneath culture, that culture in many cases is not our friend. Culture is here to chain us to systems of tyranny, subtle tyranny. What is freedom really if it is only freedom to operate within certain parameters? It isn't freedom at all. I'm not saying I wouldn't rather be a person who's affluent in California than a person that's sort of poor in, I don't know, Tehran or Senegal, or, you know, be poor anywhere, frankly. It's pretty grim to be poor in anywhere in the world. I've been poor in places before. But I don't feel like our job is to train people to bend themselves into a shape where they can succeed within these systems. I think our job is to train people so that they learn to challenge these systems, to create fairer systems that are not solely built upon the fulfillment of individual goals. My friend Adam Curtis, the great filmmaker and genius, says the genie is out of the bottle now on individualism. It's never going back in. You're never going to be able to tell people, hey, why don't you forget your own identity? You're just a member of a community, of a collective, of a parish. You know, that's not going to happen now. Nothing is as real to you or I as our own thoughts, as our own dreams, as our own, but that's just the way it is now. But perhaps through this we can attain some meaning, and if I refer back even to my own suggestions, serve the thing you are pursuing. You know, if it's like you really want to go out of a boy or a girl, why are you looking to serve them? Or do you think they're going to somehow solve or absolve you? You see them as some salve? Or if you're after some dream, why? Is it because you don't feel like you're good enough or you're worthy? You know, one of my friends said to me that you're like someone who's been up to the all-you-can-eat buffet table, stuffed your face full of everything, and then going to everyone else, you don't need this stuff. You don't need it. This cake won't work for you. But
you've done it. Yeah.
But I have had this experience. So you know, anyone that's saying, well, that's easy for you to say, then yeah, God damn it, they're right. Well, it wasn't that easy to get here, let me tell you. And but what I would say is, I would say this, that you are beautiful, that you are enough, that you deserve to feel content and happy, but you have to be willing to surrender everything. You have to be willing to surrender everything. You have to be willing to accept that what you think you should get might not be right. Where did it come from, that idea? Where did that idea that, you know, because if you are meant to be a world-class athlete, if you get on and do, do the Tony Robbins version of get on and do the work. Don't let anything stand in your way. Believe in it. Be willing to suffer, have the discipline, make the sacrifices, then that's all sort of cool. But if the only reason you're becoming a world-class athlete is because your father told you you're not good enough and that you're cheap and you ain't no kind of a man or woman or whatever, then that you're going to need to deal with that shit. Otherwise, you're going to end up strung up in a hotel room one way or another, because it doesn't, like you and I both know enough people. Like having experienced the type of celebrity that I experienced, I've met people that, as I'm sure you have, that are at the apex, the zenith. They have enjoyed it. They have been to Kubla Khan. They've had it. They're in there drowning in riches and drowning indeed, because it's not real. It's not real. Never lose sight of the fact that we are in limitless space in every direction. Never lose sight of the fact that in the subparticular world, the rules of physics as we previously understood them are falling apart. Never lose sight of the fact that our senses are limited and we can only see 0.63% of the electromagnetic range, that we are operating essentially in darkness, that the neural activity that we experience that constitutes our reality is only a tiny percentage of the potential of our own brain, let alone the potential brain of God. Wouldn't it be a coincidence if we were issued with all of the senses necessary to experience total reality? Isn't it more likely that we think of reality as just being the circumference of our sensual world? So there are limitless experiences as yet yet unhad, and many of them lay in the realm of mystery. Engage with the mystery, meditate, pursue these spiritual disciplines. Don't rely entirely on the material path. This is not like, neglect the body or hate the body. Love the body. We are in this material world. We are God made flesh. We are having this experience in bodies. But I don't think you can take what this culture is offering you as a solution and think that it will be a solution. You'll be disappointed. The map is not the territory. The map is not the territory. When you get there, it's not like that. It's not like that. So you start where you are. Start with you now.
Absolutely. I have about 17 more hours of questions, but I'm going to ask you about 4 final questions to respect our time, and maybe we can do another follow-up in the future with the next book you have. This book, Revelation, it's hard for me to finish books. It's really hard for me to finish them with growing up with a learning disability. Reading and writing was not my forte. But I finished it, and it was beautiful. It was unbelievable spoken word poetry. And I don't know how you do what you do. It's an incredible gift and a talent, and people just need to listen to it just to hear how talented you are as a spoken word artist. It's unbelievable. But the way you were able, we had many of the people that you mentioned throughout there, I've had the fortune of knowing and interviewing Wim Hof and all these other individuals. Yeah, I went to Poland. I took 13 guys to Poland last year and did 5 days with Wim, and have had him on many times and had some great kind of spiritual experiences in Poland with him playing the guitar, singing, and us jumping in ice rivers and climbing up mountains naked in the snow, and crazy stuff that we did together. Our friend Jay Shetty connected us, and I've done many weeks in India meditating at different places, and I'm on a constant journey for myself, and that's why I really wanted to have this conversation with you. And there's many things I want to ask you. Hopefully for another time. But I grew up in a religion called Christian Science. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Christian Science, but there's it's a lot about the things you've been talking about and the things you talk about in your audiobook on Audible. And one of the things that the founder, her name is Mary Baker Eddy, said back in the 1800s was stand porter at the door of thought. And that really stood with me as a child growing up in this religion. I'm no longer really active in the church or anything, but the foundation is still with me of the mindset. Stand porter at the door of thought. And I'm curious, how do you manage negative thoughts when they try to enter your mind? What's your practice beyond meditation and the things you talk about in your book and your YouTube channel, which is incredible? But how do you really navigate negative thoughts that come into mind, the thoughts of addiction, the thoughts of lust or greed or fame or whatever the things that are coming to you that you've tasted, this buffet you've tasted for years? How do you manage that?
Well, Lewis, what I do is I don't try and do it alone. I think that's a very beautiful piece of language and a lovely experience you just shared with me, mate. And the way that I experience negative thoughts a lot, I experience a lot of fear and, all of the things that you've listed. Here's a very practical way that I deal with it. I felt like I was looking at social media too long. In particular, when I do YouTube videos, I feel like I'm justified in checking, how many views did it get, and what are the comments. But I work with people that can handle that. I'm not qualified to handle that sort of stuff because otherwise I go into a point where I'm sort of numbed by it. It's not like the people saying nice things really helps me or the people saying bad things really hurts me. It's like a sort of a numb, dumb stare. And so I sort of, then someone reached out to me who's like a famous musician. She sort of told me I'm looking at stuff too much, and I goes, all right, well, from now on, right, one day at a time, me and you, whenever we're thinking about doing that, let's reach out to each other, and so I start doing it with her. Hey, I'm thinking of doing it now, and we talk about the feelings that we have and what it elicits in us when we want to do it and what it feels like to not do it. If you want to know if you're addicted to something, see what happens to you when you stop doing it. Then you will know. I could stop any time. Stop then.
Try it.
And then, oh my God, I'm ashamed. I'm full of fear. And then similar with pornography. If I don't want to look at pornography, but not a judgment on anyone else who does, but for me, if I think, oh no, I don't like how I feel, how it accumulatively makes me feel, then I make a choice that I'm going to reach out to someone else who's, sometimes it helps specifically with that thing. Like I've done it before with someone, like my mate didn't want to like eat no more bad food, and I was cool with food at that time. So I was like, well, I don't want to look at porn. So when I want to look at porn, I'll check you with the food. So we do it and it's not even, that's non-hierarchical, by the way. We're both sort of people that are just sort of trying it and trying to improve ourselves together. I also have mentors that evidently you do, like that are further down the path than me. And like, for me, I tend to use the mentors with a broader strokes. Like, this is how I'm feeling about family. This is how I'm feeling about being a man. This is how I'm feeling about fatherhood, work, whatever it is. I check in with them. And then you got to listen to them. Then you already like, see if you have the privilege of access to people like Wim Hof or Tony Robbins, and you ask Tony Robbins, what should I do? And then Tony Robbins tells you, do it. And then you've got Tony Robbins' brain. Then you're running off of that. Now like, a lot of the time, what Tony Robbins tells you might be unachievable. Okay, all you got to do is become a black belt in world. Hell, tell me something easier, with Wim Hof or whatever. All these sort of peculiar yogis and genii. We've lost sacredness, broadly speaking, in our culture. That's what that book is about. How do you reconnect with sacredness after we've sort of decided, those ideas, they're old-fashioned, they don't really work, they're not for me, or they've become compromised by their own hypocrisy or dogma or whatever it is. You've got, for me, it becomes find it everywhere. Find every conversation. What is the sacredness? What is the beauty of the person that you are dealing with? What is your job in this moment? Are you taking or are you giving? I have to legitimately ask myself these questions all the time because, God, the only advantage that I have over someone like Tony Robbins is I think like I'm still in it. I talk to Tony Robbins or Eckhart Tolle or whoever, and I think, my God, these people are like in their own ways transcended masters. It's like if you're asking, Maradona about football, God rest his soul, he can't tell you what he does. He doesn't know how he does that. No one knows. That's the point of it. But some of us is like, look, I'm on. Every day I know, I think I say in that book, I certainly say it places, Eckhart Tolle, he lives there. He lives in the awakened state, moment to moment, fully present, return to the present. He's sort of like, he says, the second he comes off the stage from talking, that experience is done. That's it. You can never be happy in the conceptual mind. Whenever you're thinking anything, whenever you're comparing or projecting, the conceptual mind will always make you unhappy. It can't make you happy. Like that. And but for me, I go to those places, Lewis. I get there, but I come back all the time. I come back for the chocolate. I come back, I feel, oh my Lord, glory of God, we're all one. Right, I'm just going to have a bit of chocolate or have a wank. I can't get out of the mud. The mud is in me.
Mind. Yeah, the monkey mind. Yeah. I hear you.
So all you need is an image and an emotion, a thought and a feeling, a stimulus and a response, and you're conditioning your body emotionally into the past. So now, the memories, and this is just not in the brain now, it's in the body, okay? So now, that thought of that person